So, greetings webbed folk. Today we're going to be looking at templates, specifically Golang templates. Now, templates are Golang's main way of creating web pages, though they can be used to create any kind of file. In order to use them, first you have to parse them, and Golang has a module that does that perfectly. It's text stroke template or HTML template if you want to make sure they're HTML safe stuff. You have to tell them to do that, and you can do this at the very beginning of the program if you don't plan on changing the templates anywhere at all. Then, when someone makes a request on the web, you handle that request, deal with everything, and calculate everything you want to tell them, put it in a single data object, and this can be any Golang type. Then when you call the execute on the template, sending it a writer, anything that has a write method, and the data that you've created, the template will then go through the data you've written and put the data where you've told it based on how you've described the template. Templates are actually incredibly powerful, and you can use them to do all kinds of things, but perhaps the thing that makes them most powerful is that they can call any Go function inside them, as long as you make it available to them. Today, I'm going to be using this template system to write to the browser all of the information for the game we've been working on, which is Unique Candlestick. And I've already put together a struct, which I'll show you in a second, which has all of the data I want the player to know. And I've also put together a bit of a template, but not a complete one, that shows some of what we want. I did most of that last week, so if you look at last week and get to the end, then you'll find that out. So let's have a quick look at the template as it is right now. So, fairly boring stuff at the top. This is just classical HTML, doc type, HTML head, metacast, just because this just keeps the browser happy if it sees all of that. And it just looks like normal HTML until you get to the double squiggly braces. Anything inside double squiggly braces, whether it's anywhere in the template, see, notice inside the quotes it's still there, or in between the link, or here where it's not really in any particular place, can be a place where you put these template markers. What I've done in this template here is I've created a variable, and then I range through this variable, so that in the same way as a Golang range function works, this does the same. So you end up with going through the range, and for every single element inside a.hand, dot between this range and this end, the dot will represent each of those elements. And so here we output the link to dot and whatever dot is visibly. So that's basically what you need. We'll take a quick look at the struct that we're working with so that we can see some of the things that I want to be outputting. Types. Up here we have three main types in this package. The main one we're working with and we're going to be sending is a game, which has a list of players, and a player is these things. So every player has their deck, their hand, their score, and whether or not they're human. We also have a list of game rounds, and a game round is which cards have been played, who played first, whose turn is it currently, which is something when that reaches first again it's all done, and the winner of that round, so we can keep track of all of the scores that way too. And lastly, a message, which I may or may not send to the player, but I probably will include some form of message like it. I thought it would be handy to have a means of telling the player something in the template, so that's why I put that there. I haven't actually found a place to use it yet. If we go back to our main function, I'll show you what I mean with the parsing. So in our template, we just call the template library.parseGlob, which then finds every file in templates ending in HTML and treats them as templates and tries to parse them. If you get any errors, it will throw those errors and end the program here, which is very helpful because if you make an error in your templates, you really just want to see what that error is and stop the program, because there's not much good as a program if the templates aren't usable. And that's everything we want to do here for now. At some point we want to add some extra functions that we can provide to the template. I won't do that right now, but we will look at that. There is a reason I need a function in there that doesn't currently exist there. So, and this is currently only working for one player. It's not ready for multiplayer. And it's not ready for more than one user. Every user is getting the same response. Next week we will be handling cookies and sessions and making sure that it works concurrently and everything like that. For now I just wanted to get something visible. So, handle func. Inside the handle func we have a load of calculations to make the game work, and at the very end we have error equals temps.execute, and then we send it W, which is our HTTP response writer up here, because that's a writer. Any writer can go to this execute and it will output the data into that writer. And then game, which is the name of our game object, which is currently a global object, but it won't be. That will need to change at some point. So let's run it, shall we, and see what we get. Go run candlestick.go. And here is the result. I've localhost 8081, which is where I've linked to, and I've got the number 6 there, which actually isn't needed. So this is what the page looks like at the moment. So we can see unique candlestick in a header 1. This round is a header 2 by the looks of things. Please choose a card as text. And then we've got these 3 numbers out. So let's take another peek at that template. In fact, I might bring that over to this window so I can show you. Here is the template code. So let's have a quick peek. So we have our head and the meta stuff, and here in the body, header 1, unique candlestick, header 2, this round, as we can see, and then in a paragraph thing, please choose a card. And then we set the variable to index.players. Now, .players, is just the data that was sent in for now. Whatever came in as, it's actually game, because when you look in here, when we call it, game is the object, and that is of type game, but actually this can take anything. This basically sets a variable to players at 0 using the function index, which is one of the functions that's available specifically to the thing. And then range runs on a.hand, which is of course the player zeros .hand. So if we take a quick peek at players again, each player type has a hand, and players is in the game struct. So players dot hand. So dot is the object that's sent in. Dot players allows us a 0 to be at F0. So we go through hand, and for every element in hand, and there are 3 cards in there, it does this. So it does this 3 times, outputting card 1. And that's why these are all links, and if I click on that, that will link to 1, this will link to 4, and this will link to 12, because it's the same number being output in the same place. And that's all the template does right now. There are a couple of other fancy things you can do with it. You can access any part of the object just straight up. So if I instead output, players, just dot players, hopefully this will just output the struct. So Control C that, and go run candlestick.go. And now that I've changed the template and we go back to Brave, we should be able to refresh and now see the contents of players, which apparently is just a set of pointers. That makes sense, right? It's a list of players. In fact, it's a list of pointers, isn't it? Let's go back and look at our types. And yeah, so players is an array of pointers. So of course we're going to get a list of pointers when we output the struct. And that's perfectly sensible. We can also access any function that an object has assigned to it. For example, if we come back over here, I just lazily today wrote a function to test this called hello world, which basically is, it's assigned to the game object, so it takes a game object, and it's a function called hello world, returns a string, return hello world as a string. I'm just going to put a number on the end of it so we can all see that this is the one I'm working with. And then we'll go back to our template, and now instead of putting dot, we can call dot and the function hello world. And when we run this template now, so I'm going to come over here, cancel it from running, rerun the templates. Remember, the templates are always interpreted at the beginning of the program, so that's why I have to do that there. Come back and run, and now we see our hello world 11111. We can actually change this. It can actually take parameters too. This is the ability of templates to just take anything or do anything like that is amazing, actually. So come back. So if I put here food, it will actually, I'm going to put this in as a string. I'm going to put Dave just as a name, and this will complain when I try and run it. Okay, so I'll Control C, run the program. No, it didn't complain. It will complain when I actually do it though. Let's Control R here. Yep, template main.html, executing main.html, dot hello world, wrong number of args, want 0, got 1. Okay, so you do have to be careful. The templates aren't quite as well type safed and type checked because it all comes through the empty interface, so it just gets the complaint when it's running. Not quite as ideal. So do as much of your code as you can in Golang, get everything ready in the struct, but sometimes you just want your template to run through things in a certain way. That can handle it. Let's just quickly go back and check. We can do this though. Well, I was tempted. I just wanted to change our hello world so it takes a string, s string, and return thumpt.sprintf and comma space %s, new line, why not, and of course we'll take s, and that function should now compile. And now when we run it, oh, I didn't import thumpt, so back to the top, import thumpt. Server's running quite happily. Come back here, have a look, Control R, and now it says hello world 111 Dave. So it has handled our function just happily. So any function you want can be given to it through the object that you send, or any objects that are children of the object you send are accessed by. Or you can just send it something called a function map, which is actually what I'm going to do now, because I really want to have the ability to get the last element of a list. And I'll show you what the problem is. We take a peek here. What I want to do is get rid of that, obviously. I want to access this round, and in here that means going. I want to set an object to. I'm going to call it round colon equals, and I want that to be the last of the rounds with dot rounds. But I want just the last round, right? If we look, it's an array. Game has a list of rounds. That's an array of pointers to rounds. So I want to access the last one. So I can do it by calling len round. And that function will be the number of rounds there are. But I actually want index dot rounds at len rounds minus 1. That's what I'm after. That's the last round in there. Oh, and -1 wouldn't work there. You'd need to put another bracket on again here for this to be able to work. But -1 isn't a function that actually exists. Or addition and subtraction just don't exist in the template. I can see why. Let's go take a look at the template library. I've already got it open over here, so Control come across here. So this is Golang, the text templates package. If you just Google Golang text template, you will get to this library, and it explains fairly clearly all the things that you can do with them, and it's got a list of functions that are available. So here are Boolean functions. You can ask, are they equal, are they not equal, less than or equal, greater than or equal. And you've got a whole ton of functions here for AND, which is a Boolean thing. Call returns the result of calling the first argument, which must be a function, with the remaining arguments. Okay, fair enough. HTML returns the escaped equivalent HTML index, returns, I showed you what that does, but it basically just returns a specific part of an array, right? So you can point to any, and it actually lets you point to them using multiple. So if you've got an array of arrays, you can access them just by putting index 1 and then the index 2 a second space after, so it can handle all of that. Length, which is the one I was just using to try and get the length, not Boolean negation, or add two Booleans together, or we got print for getting some returning, for handling strings and using functional stuff. But none of those allow me to do a -1. So what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to create a function map, and add it to the template with some really, really basic functions. So back to our code, the actual code, candlestick.go. It's in our main. I declared the thing. Now you can do this where you like, if you feel like it's worth separating it, or you've got tons and tons of functions you want to add, wherever you like. fmap colon equals template.funcmap, which is the type we're looking for, and it's just a straightforward map of string to anything. So you can put anything as the first, you have to put a string as the first element, and any function you like, or anything you like as the end, but it should be a function. Practically, I think it probably can handle almost anything, but these are just bonus things that you can call. So let's put in a func called add, and we'll call it add with add like that, and the colon, and then we'll put a new func, and you can just write a function here that takes I'm going to make it a ... int, so we can just add together any number of things that we throw at it. That may not be as useful as we're completely thinking, but it just allows us a little bit more freedom. Oh, and it returns a single number, doesn't it? And it returns an int. Even better, I guess, if this returned a number, if we had a type that was more generic number. But so res colon equals 0 for v colon equals range by, it's a funny set of letters here, because it was going to be just a couple of numbers, but then I've decided to make it an array. Res plus equals v, and then at the end return res. Oh, something's missing. Missing comma, missing something. Oh, comma, yeah, because it's on a new line, so we put a comma there, and that makes it clear that. So I've just added a function to the func map, but our templates don't yet have it, so temps dot, and I think I can just assign it here. Let's look up Control F func map. Type func map. So I can. There's a function here. Funcs adds the elements of the argument map to the templates function map. It panics if a value of the map is not a function, okay, with the appropriate return type, or if the name cannot be used syntactically as a function in a template. It is legal to overwrite elements of the map. The return value is the template, so calls can be chained. Okay. I don't desperately want to chain, so I'm just going to do temps dot funcs. That was called, wasn't it? F-U-N, oh, capital F, F-U-N-C-F, F-map. I'm going to put that down under here, under that error though. So that now means, in theory, we should now have the add method enabled in our thing. And we can put any functions that we like in there. So now in here, I'm going to put add len rounds and -1. And I think that basically covers everything I want. So I can add the length of the rounds to -1 and take the index of dot rounds at that. So in theory, this should actually be the first time we run this should be a 0 because rounds will change. Let's actually let's forget assigning it to a variable right now. That will output the round. What is a round? It's a struct, right? So it should be able to tell us everything about that round. Let's just output it and see what we get, shall we? So over here, Control C, go run candlestick to go. Function add dot defined. Oh, of course. That was a bit of a silly mistake here. It couldn't pass it because it didn't have that function available at that time. So actually what we do need to do, I'm going to yank this line. I'm just going to take the whole thing and I'm going to put that here. That might work. I thought I had this sorted so that it would work happily. Template.funcs doesn't exist, so oh. So how do I get them in before I can actually just put the new here, new, and that allows a bit of chaining. So creates a new template, and on that it assigns it new functions, and then it can receive some more templates basically. So it's going to pass another glob and add these in, and these ones will all know that this exists. This function map is available. So now they shouldn't complain that add is available as what it did before. Undefined template new. Oh, here forgot to put a dot. Okay, so run that now. Server starting, no complaints, good. Over here, back here, Control R. That makes sense, but it won't make a whole lot of sense to you guys. So, because I think when I did the template, I call execute template on one without a name. I now need to name all the templates that I'm going to use. I think the problem is happening when I call the template. Here, yes, it's not. It has an execute method assuming that your template has only got one template, or it's got a main template. But this one doesn't have a main template or a template defined as none anymore, because we took that away when we made our template start with an empty template. So now we absolutely have to use the execute template method, and we have to tell it the name of our template, which should be main.html. In fact, if we look at that, it says the defined templates existing are main.html. So there you go, that's the only one available. That's the name we're working with. Control C, run that. Server starting. Now when we refresh this round, that's funny. I had expected that to be 0. Index out of range. That should have been a 0 because it does have one existing fella. So let's go back and quickly check that our template is pointing correctly. Let's get rid of this here and just do an add len dot rounds and -1. and I'll comment this out. You can actually comment out things if you want to using the star thing, but you can't comment out more than one of these squiggly brace things at a time. So this section here will not run because it's inside a commented brace. It just won't be seen. Control C that. Let's run that. Now when we Control R, we get a 1. So the answer to that is 1, but I don't think that's the right answer. I think let's output len.rounds, because I think that's 1. Run that. So the adding function hasn't done what I hoped it would. So let's take another peek at our add function and see if I've done something wrong. Oh. So that's because when you do range, key is the index and the first one is the index and the second one is the value. And I was adding the indexes, and well, so that should solve that problem. Control R. Now we get 1 0, which should now allow our this to get the right result. Run the server. Come back here. Press. And that is a perfect description of the round. So far, no player has played any cards. Yeah, that's actually really descriptive. So I've played a card. Last round, no one else played any cards. Oh, I see. This is this round. So these rounds are different each time, and it doesn't yet know who's won. I actually really like the idea of just outputting those as they are for now. And then I can keep track of everything that's happened in the game. If we have a header 2 here, so far, and here I'm just going to range dot rounds. End on that, and here I can just put a dot. Oh no, it needs to be in a and I'll put a BR on the end as well, so we get new lines, and you'll see each round as it happens. Control R. Oh no, Control C. Start again. It's happy. Back up here. Control R. So far, and that's this round here. So if I click on 5. Then I choose card 5, and we can see what's happened is I've played card 5, someone else has played 13, someone else has played 5 and 1. So in the end, the winner was player 4. The 8 won because the 5s were wiped out. Good, so that worked. Now the next challenge. So if I keep clicking on these, we should end up with the rounds growing, and that's this round here. And we can see every decision that's happened, and we can kind of get a picture of how the game's working. So we kind of need a function that kind of prints out the details of a round. And we can do that in one of 2 ways. The way I'm most tempted to do that is actually inside the template file. I'm going to define a new template. Define, done with a quote, round. And we'll end that there. So instead here, what we're going to output here is template round, and we're going to send the parameter of dot, which is our current thing. So now this has access. Dot in this will be the current round. So we can output it in a slightly tidier format. What does a round have? It has an array of each of the players and which card they played. So inside this we'll need a range. Ooh. Range, and we're going to range through dot. Let's just have a quick look back at our type and see what we've got. So we're looking at a game round and it's played. Okay, so it's dot played, and that is just an array of ints. Oh, we need I'm going to put an end up for this because I don't want to get confused and forget to put it later. Oh, tell you what, I'm actually going to use K, V, $K, $V, colon equals, because you can do the same thing with the range as you can here, so you get the key and the value, because that means I can then put I can put in a P followed by $K and then a space, that makes sense, followed by $V, and with the P and the K having chosen $V, let's just run this and see what we get. So Control C, run the thing. Too many declarations in command. Line 2. Aha! So the range goes at the front. That's where I got confused. So range $K $V colon equals. Is that what it was supposed to look like? And commas in between. So you have to use $1 for variables in this. If they're template only variables, that just helps, I think, to separate what's going on in the template. No complaints there. That's good. Let's have a look if I hit ref. So player 0 0, player 1 0, player 2 0. So that's the current state of the round. But when I've done that, it now tells me what everybody has played. I'm actually going to put a limit on this if NE $V 0. Oh, and that if should actually be in the braces. It takes a bit of getting used to writing a template style of thinking, but actually it kind of makes sense. If not equals these two, right? And I'll put that in here with an end. That basically means if someone hasn't played, then we can check. Because what I did was 0 is the value for no one's played, because to play a card you have to play a value from 1 to 13. So we control refresh that. So far no one has played any cards, so nothing has happened. Player 10. So last round, player 0 played that, player 1 played 5, player 2 played 7, player 3 played 3. It's not the clearest it could be, is it? But definitely something visible. Now someone else has played a card, but it's my turn, so it's actually worth. I'm going to use the same round method for outputting the round here. Template round, and then I'm going to put these in brackets to make sure that that's all taken as a single object. Right? Brackets are your way of making sure that the right parameters get used at the right time. That's true in all programming, so you kind of get used to thinking that way, for sure. Control R. So nothing has happened so far, but when I play this, the next round, player 3 has played 11, player 4 has played 9, it's my turn. I've got 11 is currently the winning card. I could win if I play 1 and someone plays 13. Or if I play 2 and someone plays 7. I'll go with 1 actually, it's got good odds. And let's see what happened. In the end, I can't tell who won. The next part of what I want to say in round is if, and this is about winner, which is in the round, it's just dot winner, right? So I can put if not equal dot winner -1. -1 means it's not been set, as you probably saw those -1s flying around earlier on at the end, and an end on that if, because you need that. And inside here I want to output BR winner equals P and then dot winner. And I'll put another BR so that we can keep it all nice and clear and see everything that's happened so far. Then we quit the server, start the server, come back to our browser, refresh. So nothing's happened so far, no card's been chosen, player 0 is going first. I'm going to play card 10. According to this, P4 played 5, which is apparently the winning card. And now player 4 has played 7 and it's my turn. Because the winner of the last round goes first and I'm player 0. So I'm going to play a card that's lower than 7 on the off chance that winner player 1, so that wasn't me either. What did player 1 play? Player 1 played 3, which beat my 4 in the low direction because 7 makes it lower. If you haven't worked out the rules to Candlestick, don't worry, I will probably do a video explaining the rules to Candlestick at some point, but it's completely irrelevant for what you can do in this well, it's a little bit irrelevant. I'm quite happy with that. I think that's a good demonstration of some of the stuff you can output. I'm just quickly going to make it so that we're going to make the numbers of the cards they've chosen bold, so I can tell them apart. Which is just trivial templates stuff, right? If we just put this, so I'm going to put a B, and over here close B, and a comma, because you know those kind of come in handy from time to time, and that might make it slightly easier to read. So far nothing has happened. This round nothing has happened. So player 0 chose 12, so that's slightly easier to read. We've got commas between them, we can separate, we can see. The winner was player 0 who played 12, that was me. The highest card won. The 2 8s cancel each other out, so it's not going negative. I'm playing first again this round, player 7. This time player 3 won, and so player 3 is gone, player 4 is gone, and it's my turn. Makes sense, right? I'm going to leave it there. I think that's quite a lot of what templates can do have been demonstrated. You're free to add anything you like to templates. If you're not sure what they can do, you can always go and take a peek at the package thing. Hopefully I've given you a bit of a glimpse into some of what you can do. You can reference other templates internally. You can pass data around inside them. You can access functions on cards you already have. And you can add any other functions to the function map to get them in. So that's a ton of stuff you can do in a template and have it look like the page you want it to. So have fun with that, play around. The only way to learn is to just keep trying to do stuff. So play with templates, see what you can get the templates to display from actual data that you've got in your thing. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you've enjoyed this, and have a great week. See you soon. Oh, next week it's cookies.